It's another day right here at the Black Giant studio for the Black Giant podcast, like we usually do. You know why we're here. Don't say we have come again. No, this time around, we're here to discuss something more important and something very, very interesting. I have waited all day long and all time long to handle this very topic because it concerns me, it concerns you, and it concerns all of us. My name is Okpe Lawrence Okpe, and this is the Black Giant podcast. I trust that you're there already waiting to see it, and you're there already to comment, to share, to like, and to follow Black Giant podcast on all social media platforms, especially the YouTube. Yeah, okay, we have a guest today. We will be exploring the realities that surround relationship choices, marriage, domestic violence, divorce, and post-marital experience. A lot, you would say. And with me in the studio is one person who is a lot in one. I know her to be almost everything, but maybe I should mention a few. She is a sociologist, an actor, a researcher, and one that I know very well because we've had something to do about that. She is also a therapist. She goes by the name Rosalind Enobong Okon. And she's right here in the studio with me. Madam Rosalind, you're welcome to the studio. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
How have you been? It's been years.
I'm amazing and I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
After black or white? We didn't see again. In case you do not know, like I said, she's also an actress, and we did the film Black or White together. So yes, coincidentally, she played the role of a therapist, and she is a therapist. I think there's a name they call those kind of actors, although she is not that. She's not that. So today, Madam Rosalind, we're exploring marriage, we're exploring divorce, domestic violence, relationship matters, post-marital issues, and all that. Generally, what would you want to say about this topic?
Okay, so I think it's high time. First of all, thank you so much, Black Giants, for bringing me. I'm truly, truly honored. Thank you so much. For me, I think that it's high time people begin to talk about a whole lot, and for me this topic is very timely, especially with what's happening everywhere, from couples you never believe would be going through this, from models, from sadly even from ministers of God. So I think it's high time people begin to talk about all of these red flags. People begin to talk about what to watch out for those of us who have gone into those kind of issues or dealt with those kind of issues and came out of those kind of issues. What have been lessons learned? What are you passing on to the generations who have learned so much, and recovering from a whole lot of trauma and understanding that yes, we made mistakes here and there, so how do you correct it? But if you do not come out to share experiences and talk about all of this put together, we're not going to be able to explore answers that will be able to serve as warning signs, guides to the next generation or even this present generation. So I think it's high time. I'm very happy about the topic, and I'm happy to see how best I can share.
Thank you. I think I made the right choice when it comes to this. I took my time, to explore choices in terms of who to bring for this particular topic, because it's not a topic that one should just fly over. It should be a guest who has a first-hand experience, and a guest who, one of your advantage of being here, a guest who is also a therapist. And I believe you're going to strike a balance, to these things, despite the fact that you are of that gender. Now, to my first question, Madam Rosalind, At what point should one call it a quit in marriage?
Thank you so very much. Okay, so calling it a quit in marriage, for me, I do not feel that marriages should dissolve because of mere, issues and challenges. So for individuals, different people, coming from different family background, cultural background, educational background, they're all coming in with different characters. These are people who probably haven't known each other and haven't been in the same role for, say, maybe minimum, ethically, like 20-something years. That's if they married early.
Yeah.
And then for some who meet in 30s. So you cannot expect those people to understand themselves very well. So there will always be challenges, you understand? And so I do not say you have to call it quits when there are challenges. But when challenges begin to develop into unhealthy challenges where threats to life is beginning to become a major issue and concern, where violence, where dishonesty, where infidelity, depending on people, people's belief and perspective and values, when all of these begin to show up and they are beginning to affect the mental, psychological, and complete well-being of a person, and especially with threat to life and threat to that person or anyone involves mental health. I think at that point, separation first is what I would advise. Both of you should just sit down, talk to yourself respectfully with an understanding, and then separate for a while you continue engagement and communication to see if this
what's
can be
the
resolved.
separation for? Is it the trial version or?
Okay, so for instance, let me paint a picture. For instance, if you suddenly see, that is if you never notice or you ignore the red flags, if you suddenly just begin to see that the spouse is becoming violent, has issues with anger management, cannot control his emotions, and reacts differently to things, and then you just observe that this person was not like this while you were dating or cutting, that if you ever had that period together, then something is wrong. Is he psychologically overweight with bills, with the Nigerian problem? His marriage beginning to happen to him differently, that his entire psychological well-being is being affected. So at this point, would you want to run away from somebody who's dealing with a whole lot rather than just hold his hands and help him pass through or go through it? No, I wouldn't advise that. But if it is someone who, while dating, he raises voice, he has this controlling habit, financially he tortures you, psychologically he does not understand what happiness or peace or respect or boundaries are. If an argument occurs between the both of you while preparing or planning marriage. Okay, I want to use color purple. Can we just pick purple? And he says to you, can you define purple? No, I do not want purple. I want red. And then you're like, okay, can we just come to a common background? No, it is what I have said that will stand. Red and red is it. If it is that same person, and then you went ahead, you didn't see that as a red flag, maybe because you didn't know. Not everyone is aware of all of this. You understand? We all come from different backgrounds with different levels of understanding. At that point, he now grows into marriage, because once that person is controlling and does not understand that getting married is a partnership that needs to be respected, a defined partnership between two adults. And so between two adults means the both of you must think and process things as adults, not as children, meaning that you need to respect the other person's view, meaning that there's a defined partnership. The both of you should come in as partners, not like one controlling the other person and the other person is being seen as a child. And so if this now grows and it leads into, I'm saying this must stand, and you're saying no, it must not stand, and then hands are beginning to fly and punches are coming, at that point,
separation.
There should be separation.
So you're saying it shouldn't just dive to divorce. There should be separation first.
There should be separation and allow for dialogue. So first of all, I will always advise safety first. Think safety, because in the course of a heat,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And it's he or she who is alive that can begin to
even
think or express or practice marriage or be in marriage. So at that point, I would always advise clients and people, whoever, the audience, to please separate.
Yes, at that point you should separate. Now you talked about separation at first, and don't you think it gives room for some kind of act that may not really support the purpose of marriage. For instance, the man is on his own, the woman is on her own. One could want to try something else and all that. Don't you think it calls for more mistakes?
Okay, so marriage also, by biblical standard, I'm a Christian,
Sure.
it's speaking one, and I understand that marriage is one institution ordained by God for two adults who've got defined values and systems put in place to come in together and begin to model the best that they think they can for the next generation. But where things now begin to go differently, totally different from what their shared values are or their goals, if they ever had anyone, it means it calls for a redress. It means it calls for you to go back to the drawing board.
So
And
that space is for everyone to just go back to the drawing board. Nobody should bother whether anything is happening behind the scenes.
So if a partner is beginning to think wayward or begin to exhibit infidelity just because there's a separation, it means that separation is just empowering who that person is. It means this person has always been involved. So it was just looking for an opportunity to become a better person at what that person usually do. So separation is a call for sober reflections and not a call for you to begin to advertise negativity or begin to patronize.
I get the point. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, my next question is, you talked about issues that could lead to separation or divorce and all that. And one of the things you mentioned that I heard is domestic violence, right? Is there an alternative to domestic violence that you would maybe want to advise the man or profile as a solution rather than raising of hands and hitting their spouses and all that? Is there an alternative to domestic violence?
Thank you so very much. There are a lot of alternatives to domestic violence in marriages or in relationship. And I bet to say, from my level of experience and years in this industry, that one of the major solution or alternative is communication.
Communication.
A lot of men find it very challenging to communicate and express themselves. Why? Because the patriarchy system, has taught our men not to cry when they feel pain. The patriarchy system has taught our men not to shout when they need relief. The patriarchy system has taught our men not to share pain. Not to show pain. Why? Because they are told you're a man.
You're a man. Cry. You should.
I'm a mom to a boy and a girl, and I tell my son every day before he leaves home to school, at any point anything happens and you feel so pained and you want to express your pain, please be free. I've never told my son at any point in terms of discipline, do not cry, you are a boy, boys don't. No, I've never told, because I am raising a different generation. But in our time, that's the best our parents do anyway.
Yeah.
I blame them. That's how they were also
see how they cry like woman.
Thank you. You understand? And so these men or these young boys grow into men who feel, for you to really show you are a man, you need to
house whatever is going through.
Get choked on pain, get choked on trauma, get choked on all of the things you do not approve, because why? You are a man, you don't talk. And so the lack of communication when things are not going the way they should leads to when a thing is being bottled up. And it gets to a feeling point, and you just open up a little space. What happens?
Everything busts out. Yes.
And so that's why, for me, with the interaction I've had with a lot of clients, we've gone through all of this, and then you're now sitting down. This woman comes and complains. He beats her, and I'm like, okay, I hear you, my darling. Can I speak to him? Oh no, he would never want to talk. He doesn't even talk. Really, that's where the problem comes from. So the woman feels you would never have an opportunity to hear him because he does not even talk. I wake him up in the middle of the night and I said I want to talk, and he says you're disturbing me. I wake him up after morning. He says I take him out for lunch. You say he doesn't want to talk. Yeah. But when he comes for therapy, finally when he's been convinced to, because he truly does need solution, you hear these men talk and they break down.
A lot of things.
Not in the presence of their wives. Never. They will always say, you want me to talk? I will come alone. And then you say, but this is a union between two adults. And then by the time you are beginning to dig deep and you are asking and making more inquiries, you find out that's how his dad treated his mom. That's how his dad was groomed. He's never seen his dad sit down to express honest conversations with the children. You've never seen his dad, when his dad lost his mom, cry. You've never seen the dad so excited to hugging and pecking and kissing at every victory as a child. So this is more one of the persons, actually talked about a time where one of the siblings, won an award, and this has never happened in the entire community where they lived. And so when they were running home, going to go and tell, it was only their dad that was home. He was expecting, because they also saw other people, who broke records and all of that. They were friends to other children. They saw how their father lifted them up, spinned them round, and was throwing them up and all of that in jubilation. So this guy felt, oh my God, finally my father is going to carry me up, spin me and hug me. And so when he went in, and out of the excitement, I was rushing to go hug them. Hold it, are you okay? Like, your son wants to give you a hug. And then the father is saying, hold on, are you okay? What is it? I said, but Dad, and then after expressing the excitement and expressing how joyful that news was, all the father did was just smile and stretch forth his hand for a handshake. And the son was totally disappointed.
Wow.
The father didn't know what a hug was. You understand?
Yeah.
And he now ended up saying that he has never seen his dad hug his mom. That's a man who has not been taught how to express his emotions. So when such a person is now grooming, so for him, he retreated back into his shell, meaning, also this is wrong, or this is not to be practiced. So that man now ended up getting married and was unable to express
himself,
his feeling. So when things were going the way he never expected, rather than tell the wife this was what was going on and I feel we have to look for other solutions, he was pained and so traumatized that he could not say a word. And then when he couldn't take it anymore, that little opening, he flipped and exploded with his hands for the first time, and the woman went berserk, like, how? So communication is the lifeblood of every relationship, whether in marriage, whether in casual relationship, love relationship, parenting relationship, even in the classroom. If you do not communicate with your children or your class students or pupils, how do they learn and grow? So communication is a major alternative. Then also advise our men to seek therapy. Please, I want us to
men will think it's not useful.
I was going there when you have been told. Okay, so for me, in my own experience, I recall one of those days when this heated argument and this whole violence started, and I was like, okay, let me seek for counseling. And I reached out to, in fact, this was a pastor, not just because I knew the person I was dealing with. He could only respect pastors and ministers, So I went in to look for a real therapist who had a calling as a minister. And I spoke, and I even said, okay, check the person out on Facebook and check the person out and be sure. And he said, oh, really? Okay, now you're telling me I'm mad? Seeing a therapist and going for counseling does not
mean you are mentally unstable.
No. It just means that your mental well-being needs a medical checkup or needs a psychological checkup, not medical checkup. The same way you go to the hospital for medical checkup as a doctor. What psychologists do, we do talk therapy. We don't use stethoscope and all of those instruments to check. We use communication to be able to dissect.
But do you think people can on their own just say, I need a therapist?
If we do not keep talking, if we do not keep letting people understand the effects behind therapy and counseling, the generations who were never schooled on that will not understand. That's the more reason why we need to talk more about therapy. Therapy does not mean you are not stable psychologically or mentally. It just means that your mental well-being needs a therapy, needs a doctor.
Yeah, Madam Rosalind, you've mentioned communication, and then you talked about
counseling. There's also anger management. There's also that part where you come to an agreement with your spouse. I'll also like our men to understand that anger management is also an alternative to violence. So if men make themselves available for them to go and get trained on anger management, it will now help them to
there's a training for that.
Of course there is anger management. It will now help them to understand and see that there are better alternatives and avenues with which you can exploit management of crisis. There's also emotional intelligence. Now, so part of the reasons why we react the way we react or respond the way we respond is our level of emotional intelligence. How matured are you emotionally to handle issues? Some persons will see another woman and say, oh my God, she looks so beautiful, and they admire what God has done in that life.
Yeah.
And then another person looks and his thought process says, can you just imagine how stupidly, forgive me for using that word. You understand? So these are different people with different ways of processing information, processing levels of intelligence. Do you understand? The other person sees this woman dressed in trousers with her curves, and you're just appreciating God. And the other person sees and says, see, this is a prostitute. Indecent dressing. You understand? So your level of emotional intelligence
also matters.
Comes into play in marriages and how you manage crisis. There's also that cooling off period. That cooling off period is that part I talk about separation. So I like to always use Nigeria as a major example, because a lot of men will come in for therapy. By the time you start having conversations and you're having this talk therapy, you find out that they're just overwhelmed financially. The economy has just closed up on them. And then once a man is not financially capable to stand and take his responsibility in marriage, a part of him dies. And so because that part of him that makes him being defined as a man as an African,
as a provider,
you understand? Once he loses that capacity, a lot of things are not losing on the inside of him, and then he kind of becomes violent if he does not understand emotional intelligence.
Now I get your point is quite clear. I want to quickly ask this question before we go off it.
Okay.
Does the women have a role to play at the point where you just mentioned financial crisis, and I agree to that, quite agree to that, because the African settings have, pointed at men as providers to the extent where they quote scriptures where the Bible said a man that cannot provide for his family is worse than an infidel. But there is this state that a man comes into when he can no longer provide, especially when he used to provide. Do you think the women should also have that emotional intelligence, you called it, to know what and how to come in to help the men when they are in that state? Because some women don't actually know how to carry on from there. Would you want to say something?
Thank you so much. That's a very intelligent question. So for me, I define marriage as a defined partnership with values and goals set by these two grown adults.
Grown adults. I like that.
The word stressed here is partnership with defined goals and objectives by two grown adults. And I'm stressing defined partnership and grown adults, not just adults. You understand? So if these people come in as partners and understand that we are going into this as, allow me use the word business. If you're going to business as partners, you're bringing in something in. You're also bringing in something in, investments in, and then the both of you merge to make sure that you are able to achieve that defined goals or set goals. And then this is only able to be managed by two grown adults who understands that if I am financially capable, but this person is not financially capable, but have that ability and qualities to manage resources. Why I do not have the resources, the management resources, but I have the finances, things can work out. So if women who come into relationship attain that status quo of matured adults and understands in thought processes, that when you come into marriage, your man is not, please do not crucify me, he's not the sole provider financially, because there might be times when things might not go the way it is planned. You do not have control over the economy like it is in Nigeria right now. So if you do not have a control or monopoly on the economy, when your man is unable to provide, please you should be able to step up. And this is not as a demand or an obligation. It's just because you're a partner. This is not an enforcement by any gender.
Because you're a partner.
You understand what partnership means. And so, yes, a woman who must attain marital status must be emotionally intelligent to understand that marriage is a partner. So when your man is down financially, you should be able to step him up without the children even knowing. I know when, as children, my mom was paying our bills for us. And we always go and thank our dad. It was when her dad had attained a particular status that my dad was able to now say, he was your mom that was doing this. We never knew. But we just know our mom would just follow us to school, just give us the money. Daddy, thank you. That was
that's partnership. I like the way you navigated your way to answering this question, and that brings us to the next question. When a woman provides, let's say in a situation in marriage where the woman suddenly became the provider in the home, should the man take up the domestic chores?
Again, I'll go back to the definition of what a marriage is. For me, I will repeat, marriage is a defined partnership with set goals and values by two grown adults. Relationship, marriage, ability to provide, who is the breadwinner or not, should not define who takes home chores. It should be something that is done as a partner. And so if you have this defined partnership, it means that in marriage, there is no competition. There are just shared responsibilities.
No roles.
No roles. When chores are to be shared at home, it should come on the basis of availability. Who is available? Please. Who has got that capacity? If I get married tomorrow, I do not like to cook. I don't like to cook.
The man should take up the cooking.
The man I married loves to cook.
He should cook.
He should be able to cook for us. It's about availability and capacity with shared responsibility, because there's a mutual understanding as partners. It shouldn't be a stereotype based on gender.
So nobody is stereotyped to either cook or do the home chores or...
So if the woman is now the one taking care of the family, it means she's the one going to work. She's not available. And then the man who is available
should do
the pick up of the children from school. Help us manage the home. The woman going to work will come back while this other person will just be sitting on the couch and be watching TV, watching football. And then she comes back from the 9 to 5, go to do pick up at school, run to the kitchen.
Does the man who are actually not able to finance the home at the time actually just watching TV? Some of them are out there struggling to see how they could actually get their hands on something also. Don't you think so? And then there's that mental state you mentioned earlier on. A man who cannot provide, who used to provide at the point, cannot provide. Mentally he is unstable. So
there are different people.
Yeah.
And I've met as a therapist and a psychosocial counselor. I have met with diverse.
Of course, your job.
And I can tell you, for free, that there are men who lost their jobs and totally lose everything that makes them. I'm trying to be very civil.
Yeah, you don't want to call it man now, but that's the word.
All they want to just do is sit in front of the TV and just watch football. Just because life has happened to them. They just lose it completely. No connect anymore to anything. They don't even want to relate to even the children. Some want to just be left alone. They moved out of their matrimonial rooms and had another room to themselves. They just want to be by themselves. The only thing they need is food
and sleep
with
ball.
The woman when he wants to, and watch football. No other thing to be done. So there are different people, there are different ways, and you don't blame them. People process trauma and pain differently.
That's right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there are people who actually do that. But I feel that as grown adults, as humans with their beings intact,
just know what to do at the right time.
Just know what to do at the right time.
So, Madam Roslyn, now we're talking about all these things, and we seem to be diving towards finance in a way. Does money solve the problem?
Well, money is a problem solver. Even the Bible said it. That I'm not too sure how the Bible coined it, but I think the Bible talked about how money,
Is it by prosperity?
not by prosperity, and not the root of evil, but money can be able to, take away stress from you. I'm not very sure what that coinage is. Money is a problem solver, but money cannot replace intimacy, peace. It cannot replace friendship, relationship management, emotional stability, but it can take off a whole lot of stress. For instance, I want to paint a picture where the woman is working, the man is working. You do not have these both parents at home, and there are children involved. When there's money, you are able to get people who are able to manage the children, like help you do pickups and run. I do not say or advertise or campaign to say you just totally just face your work. You should be able to have a work-life balance with marriage and parenting. But it's to help you solve a whole lot. Like they come back, everybody's wearing clothes Monday to Friday, plus the children. The laundry is filled up. When you have money, it's just for you to just get a washing machine.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do anything and be present. The laundry is running. Why? Because there is money. But you see, when there is lack of money, a lot of friction and stress comes in that rubs off on the peace that is supposed to be enjoyed and experienced in marriage.
Yeah, money. So money goes a long way but it doesn't replace.
It can never replace those vital values that you expect to get from marriage.
I've met ladies who say that they must marry their spec. Do you think marrying your spec is of any advantage?
So when I meet women like that, I always ask them, are you the other person's spec? If you set expectations and standard and boundaries around who you want to fall in love with or end up or spend the rest of your life with, do you fall into that person's expectations too?
Do they even care to know if it...
So for me, I tell women who first of all come in and all they say is, if he's not wealthy and does not have money, how much do you have?
How much do you have?
Because it is like minds that attract. If you're a magneto for wealth, you will attract a wealthy person.
That's right.
If you're a magneto for peace, you will attract peace. So you are only not a mature adult when you set boundaries or you set spec or you become a spec or you set expectations and then you are not meeting up to that expectations. First of all, look inside, look inward and work on yourself.
So for those who say they have a standard for how they want their wedding to be, he gave me my dream wedding. So you mean that expectation is not supposed to be set?
If you want no, I'm not saying don't set those standards. But by setting those standards, can you meet up?
Can you meet up? So even in this situation,
oh yes.
If you want a standard for your kind of wedding, you should be
able to. So I give you a true life story. A woman meets a man doing very well, so very well, and they've picked a wedding date and they started planning, and all of a sudden he got duped. Got duped 2 or 3 months to their wedding. This was going to be a mad society wedding, and the man lost. He lost everything because he was into partnership and was doing business from China, importation, and all of that. And he lost everything. Do you know what saved that marriage from crashing? Because this woman had her own money. Nobody knew what happened until over 2-3 years when the man was able to bounce back on his feet. He was the one that went on social media to announce it. How? By appreciating the woman,
the wife,
for covering him for 3 years without even his family.
So if you have a dream wedding, you should have the dream money.
Step up. Because you do not have a control for tomorrow or of tomorrow. You don't know what can happen. Step up.
And dream wedding does not even determine dream marriage.
Yes, I am not. I'm not a person who says if you want to get married, you have to be the one to sponsor your wedding. But if you want to have a 5 million naira wedding, you must be able to have 10 million naira in your account as a woman. Yes, so because what if things happen tomorrow? If your husband, of course I'm going to be getting married to a man who must be able to take care of the bills. But in taking care of the bills, if you're setting a standard for 5 million naira for wedding, do you people have a life to live after the 5 million naira?
That's another question.
Do not set. That's why it has to be defined partnership with shared values. You should be able to both have monies on your own in case things happen. You shouldn't get married and then you are not able as a daughter anymore to still discharge obligations as a daughter to your parents, to your family, to your siblings because you've gotten married. If you do not wait for uncle to give you money to buy sanitary pads, you cannot buy. Your life should be a plus.
So whatever standard you're fixing, you should start with yourself.
Yes. That's what I feel life should be.
Good, beautiful. You have sticked to your definition of marriage as partnership. You have for everything we've talked about. It's a partnership for you.
It must be a partnership because you do not have the control.
Now, parental disapproval.